We who are about to die salute you.
We who are about to die salute you.
Hey, and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's series Barbarians. The famous Battle of Teutoburg Forest, in which Germanic warriors halted the northward advance of the Roman Empire in AD 9, is the focus of the Barbarians. I've seen so many terrible reviews for this series, and yet I loved it. It's so weird. I normally am opposite actual critiques of film. I think the difference comes down to where I'm a lover of film and not an actual critique. But I do want to talk a little bit about the actual making of the series. They used RE cameras. You can always tell RE cameras are fantastic for low light and have a filmic grain to them when used with prime lenses, which I believe they used. And the way the cinematography shows off using the skill that they have, obviously, I thought the cinematography for it was excellent. So the production, the Gaumont, used RE cameras, and you can always tell when RE cameras are used. I think they're kind of the latest series are from the RE cameras with prime lenses. They have this way of showing a filmic kind of scene with adding like a little film grain without using film, without it being too grainy, and just the cinematic feel that you get from it is fantastic. So I'm sure there are things that you could critique about the series and probably the accuracy of the battle or whatnot, but when it comes to the cinematography, the looks, the costume design, I was riveted, especially the last episode, episode 6. The costume design takes a height that I was not expecting, because I love the makeup, especially from the Germanics. We have that like war makeup that just looks so cool, and combined with the Roman legions, a very great climactic episode. That episode 6 is mostly what you expect it to be, the culmination to the battle that you expect to see, and I love all the fighting, but all the fighting in the world wouldn't be any good if the story wasn't there, and I feel like that was there as well. And we get to follow these two groups. The story is very reminiscent of Ben-Hur, actually. There's a very similar story as to a child gets taken or get given to keep the peace between the Romans and the Germanics, and now that child comes back later, and there's this kind of push and pull of whose side, I'm from this land, but I've now grown up in this land, but I have feelings towards this land. There are as always in this series, like little snakes in the grass in the Germanics, that kind of stories. Snakes as in spies, or people that are trying to get one up everybody and trying to get a seat on power, and they'll use everybody and anybody to get what they want. There's that sort of like sideline stories. You also see female barbarian come to power, and you see people being moved. It's like a chess game, really. People being moved this way, and you take their pawn and they take your pawn. You attack them on this flank and they attack you on that flank. I enjoyed the politics of it, and I thought it was very well put together. I like the fact that it's only 6 episodes. It didn't feel drawn out. I thought the acting was excellent, especially with our main protagonist. I felt I had a lot of feels for the characters, especially in the latter episodes when you see all that they've come through and then the stuff that they have to sacrifice. I was constantly going, oh, this is not going to end well. And every single episode, it's always feeling like the Germanics are they're fighting a boss. That's what it feels like. Like every single person that they have to fight, they're always the underdog of the fighting sequences. It feels like. So when they survive, you always kind of breathe a sigh of relief. You're like, how are they going to survive this? And when a few of them do, or some of them don't, you're like, are they ever going to win? I hate that about series like 24. It just feels like, how many bad days can you have? And you have that in this as well, which is why it's so great when you get to see them start to win, when there's little battles, when you finally get to that fruition, that last episode, you are willing them. Even though I didn't know the actual outcome, I knew it was like a famous battle, but I didn't know what was going to happen. I hoped I knew what was going to happen. At the same time, it feels like they could lead into another series, although I do feel like this is a contained series. It should be that one story. Can I urge you please to watch it in the original German language? I tried watching some of the English, and that's fine. They don't do a bad job, but you definitely lose some of the feeling, the tone that they're going for when you get in the original language. You're reading the subtitles, you get the kind of emotion when there needs to be emotion on screen, the inflection from the tone of the voice. It's what was originally intended. It's that original language. It feels so much more authentic, if that makes sense. I love the way the story is shaped with the acting. I think the acting is very good, and I think the protagonists are good, but I think the direction from the director and the way the story is pushed, the way it is put together, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't really understand why, apart from maybe if the story is not authentic enough for people, that they didn't enjoy it. But for me, every episode was like I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't know who was going to survive. I knew who I was rooting for, and so every episode that continued, you were just like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And I felt for these characters pretty much the whole way through. So when I got to that end episode, I was so invested in these characters that every kind of action sequence felt right. You felt vindicated, and that's where you want your audience to be. It's very well crafted and edited and put together. I thought the score was excellent and never overthrew what was being told on story. It was never too loud for the dialogue. There was a nice balance. So many TV series nowadays we're having to adjust the volume up and down, or like Tenet. If you've seen Tenet, you'll understand what I'm talking about there. But not just Tenet, loads of TV series are doing that now. I'm happy to say the balance is great, but the score itself, with the ambience, is fantastically done. I feel like there's so many ticks in this series that I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I do feel like if there's going to be a second series, they're going to take away from what was good from this season. I do think the character Ari steals the show, mostly because he's a fish out of water in both lands. So he has to go and learn what it means to be a Roman, and then he has to kind of learn what it means to be in his own land again, and he's totally torn between the two, and you see the turmoil, and I think that's acted very well. Also, like I mentioned earlier, I think the direction of the characters, what they need to show, is done very well. You do get the classic tropes of the kind of love triangles, and that's kind of tried and tested. I guess that's why they keep doing it. And so I knew that was going to happen. There are some predictable moments in story. That way you kind of know who's going to be the betrayer consistently. You kind of know what love triangle is going to end up. You kind of know which of the tribes is not going to be trusted. That kind of thing. It's not much is a surprise, but it's also thoroughly entertaining. I'm going to give this an A-. Chat to me in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about this series. Thank you so much for watching it. We've got so much new content that's just been dropping today because Netflix and Amazon and all the other TV series kind of drop on for the weekend, so do check those out. But thanks so much for keeping it here on the Ruby Tuesday, and most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.